What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is going to be your review of Love and Hip Hop New York Season 10, Episode 9. The episode picked off with the party, but it was what it was. Tahiri left. Everybody was trying to figure out what was wrong with Tahiri, but we'll get back to that in a minute. We see... remember this is season 10. It's the whole bringing everybody back thing. So who came back this episode? Miss Olivia. Now, Olivia was on the show before my time, before I was watching on a regular basis. So I do not know all of her different storylines, but I do know that ultimately a lot of her storylines surrounded around her trying, like, things not working out with her in G Unit, her trying to get back in her music. I really don't know all the specifics of her storyline. She meets up with Chrissy, and what it seems like is that Olivia was cool with Chrissy and cool with Yandy, and when Yandy and Chrissy fell out, she sort of felt like she was in the middle, and she felt like Chrissy was wrong, and Chrissy said, I was kind of in my feelings about it, but, that was years ago. We cool now. I miss your friendship. It is what it is. So cool. She said she's back in town for a few weeks. She said she's been sort of out of the loop because her mom got really sick, and she was helping take care of her mom, and then her mom ultimately passed away. So, of course, Chrissy definitely understands that, and they sort of bonded over that for a minute. Olivia said that she's back in town. Now, let me tell you something. Olivia looks good, okay? I always thought Olivia was cute, but she is looking really cute. I love the little hair with the different color hair blended in with the blonde. I thought that was really cute. The coat she had on when she met up with Chrissy was really, really cute. I love that white trench. And her little confessional look, I thought it was really nice. Some of y'all might disagree, but... And remember, I don't know anything about what she did on the show before. So I don't have any preconceived ideas about who Miss Olivia is and any type of drama she brought before. I don't know nothing about it. Now, she went on to talk about how she has a bone to pick with Rich. She said Rich, she found out that Rich stole money from her. It's the classic story of the artist claiming that management stole her money. We'll get to that. In the meantime, she's in town to work with this new artist, Fresher. She said, I've heard about Fresher. I looked him up. He's done a lot of features on different albums, which we know. We've already talked about that he's been on some hit maker type stuff. So Fresher, she said she came up to kind of work with him or whatever, and she's looking forward to that, and whatever. Now, Yandy and Mendeecees paperwork is being held up. They're not really sure 100% why. They sort of suspect that maybe because Yandy has been doing a lot of work with prison reform. With prison reform, that maybe people are feeling some kind of way about it, and maybe his paperwork is being held up because of her activities. And of course, she doesn't feel good about it. But he's not home yet. Now, if you guys followed him on social media, we know that he has officially been released. And I believe he's at a halfway house, but don't quote me on that, child. I don't know. But I'm happy to see that he's home. Welcome home, Mendeecees. Now, later on in the episode, she's been faced with going down to Mississippi and protesting the conditions at the prison, at Parchment Prison down in Mississippi. And let me tell y'all something. If y'all know anything about prisons, Parchment Prison has always been one of the worst prisons in the country. Like, whenever you hear about prisons and being like, and it's down in Mississippi, honey, I ain't never heard nothing good about the conditions at Parchment Prison. Not talking about the people, none of that. Now, however you might feel about how nice a prison should or should not be, I do think that basic conditions should be maintained, right? Making sure, like, some of the conditions that were described of what's going on in Parchment Prison is absolutely deplorable, and I think we as a society should not be okay with people living in those conditions, regardless of what they may or may not have done to land them in prison. With that being said, I can say a lot of things about Miss Yandy. She irritates me a lot of the time, but I can always respect when someone is putting their money where their mouth is, and she had to make a decision with going down there to visit and be a part of the protest, because again, with Mendeecees coming home, the last thing she needs is to be facing a federal open charge. He would not be allowed to come into her home, and he would be forced to find somewhere else to live until that case was resolved, or he was off for parole, one of the two. She did ultimately decide to go down to Mississippi. They tried to meet with the lieutenant governor. It was not successful. They did have a protest outside of the prison, but it didn't get to the point where they were going to be arrested. You saw her meeting up with some other groups and some other activists and working there. So I can respect that, Yandy. I can definitely respect the cause in which she's fighting for. And I hope and pray that she continues on that road. And big ups. Like, I don't have nothing bad to say about it. Like, I don't even think it's for clout. I don't even think she's doing it for camera time or anything like that. I think she's using this platform to bring more awareness. But I don't think she did it for camera time. Y'all understand what I'm saying? So, anyway, with that being said, big ups to Miss Yandy. Now, the other prison situation we're dealing with is, we all know that Remy Ma had been dealing with a situation with the former Britney that was formerly on the show, accusing her of assaulting her at a cancer situation. I mean, cancer like fundraiser or what have you. Now, I don't know what really happened or what didn't happen. What I do know is ultimately the charges were dropped. I want to say due to lack of evidence. I know that when the few things I have heard Remy Ma speak on it was that the time in which they said she was there and this happened, she couldn't have been there because she was actually home, and because she has to check in with parole, that there was documentation that she was home. Why the case went on for as long as it did, I don't know. The only thing I could think of is that maybe there was some other information that was not privy to us in the public. Maybe it was the fact that she did have a record and certain things had to play out. Like, I honestly don't know the whole story. But what I do know is at this time, the case has been thrown out. Remy Ma is officially off parole, and congrats to her for that. Now, what we saw is her meeting with her management team, and her management team basically, Remy Ma was basically shutting down. She was in a place of, no matter what I do, I can't seem to get ahead. People are always trying to, pull me down. And, for them to even be taking this case seriously lets me know that, like, I'm just in a place where, I'm just kind of shutting down. And, they were just trying to get her out that funk. We see her meet with her lawyer, and the lawyer was like, look, the DA wants to end this, quickly, but they're offering you a plea deal. They want you to plead guilty to something, and basically they'll put you on, probation or whatever for a year. And after that year, if you don't get in any trouble or nothing happens, then you'll be off. Everything will be over. Remy was like, I don't want nothing. I don't want parole. I don't want nothing. I didn't do anything. I'm not guilty of anything. Why would I plead to anything? So her lawyer was like, well, I mean, because of course the worst case scenario is you go to trial, you're found guilty. And she said, all right, well, how much time I got to do? She said, well, it's a misdemeanor. It could be up to a year. Remy was like, all right, whatever, I can do that. Papoose was like, wait a minute, what? No, you can't. She said, look, I'm not about to sit here and plead to something I did not do. I did 7 years. I could do one. Like, I'm good. I could do one. And let's be clear, even if she had been convicted of what they were charging her with, yeah, she had a record and all of that, but she wouldn't have done no year. Like, she wouldn't have done no year. But, and at first Papoose was like, nah, like, we can't chance that. Like, we've been through this before. Your family, what you missed, what you sacrificed. But ultimately, they decided that they were going to fight the case. Ultimately, they, understood that she can't plead to something she did not do. And like I said, thank God, because ultimately we know, I said ultimately like 20 times, haven't I? Anyway, we know what eventually happened and that the case was thrown out. So I think I'm happy to hear that. Glad for Remy. I think, anyway, I ain't gonna go down that road. Because I don't know, I have my feeling that I don't think that what Britney accused her of doing, I don't think she was guilty. I do think Britney was just on some other stuff. And I think people need to be really careful about when they playing games with people's lives. You know that Remy has a record, and so there's a different level of consequence when somebody has a record. And so anyway, but glad it worked out. Now Olivia's in the studio with Fresha. I mean, she's in Fresha meets up with her and they get to talking or whatever, and Fresha lets her know what sort of happened with him and Jeniski, and how Rich came in and sort of swooped in and took his artist from her. And of course Olivia was like, yeah, Rich is kind of grimy like that, he did me sort of grimy, whatever. He said, well, why don't you just come down to the studio and do some stuff with me and we'll work it out. So here's the thing, y'all. Olivia goes down to the studio and they're working in the studio. This, you know what, Fresher, you acting like a real bitch. You were being a real bitch. He gonna call Rich to come down to the studio. Rich's thing was, now, because I know how things went down between us, I already know he on some get back. So I don't know what to expect, but I know it's gonna be some shit. Rich walks up in there, he sees Olivia, and he's like, oh, you are grimy. Oh, you're dirty. Now, what that says to me is, that there's something between you and Olivia. I don't know what you thought the beef was between you and Olivia, but clearly that there's some beef between you and Olivia, because you automatically knew that you were being set up for the okie doke. Now, Olivia's thing is, I don't really know what Fresh is on right now, because I didn't give him the whole story that went down between me and Rich, but I think he thinks it's some little easy breezy stuff that can be resolved, and that's gonna be real quick. I don't think he realized how deep the situation is or how bad things were between me and Rich. So I think she's kind of giving Fresh a little bit of the side eye, like, why would you set this up? Like, this wasn't your place. I'm not really ready to have this conversation. But they did end up talking. Fresher left and let them talk. And Olivia came at Rich and was like, you stole my money. And Rich was like, what? Said, what? I did what? She said, I think they had a song called My December or December. And she was like, you took my money. He was like, I did what? She was like, I got the printouts. And Rich knew exactly who told her this information. It was Cisco. Y'all remember Cisco from a few seasons back. Cisco was in that whole situation with Rich and Mariah Lynn and all of that. And she was like, oh, I'm glad you know who it was. And Rich was like, yeah, I know who it was. Like, he on some get back shit. She was like, but I never stole your money. He was like, what are you talking about? She said, I saw the printer. She went from 0 to 100. So once she was on 100, it was really no way that you could talk to her. She was, here. And there was no way of talking her down. And Rich was trying to explain to her, like, what are you talking about? Like, I did not steal your money. So she got upset, was like, I'm not having this conversation with you. I'm getting out of here. I can't talk to you. Now, on the flip side of that, again, I can only go by what was presented to us. What Rich explained was, yes, you sang on the record, but I owned the record. It was my money. He was like, I paid her as an artist on a record, but it was my record. I owned it. I really wish these artists would understand the difference. Now, I don't know the whole story, and I'm hoping that they're going to give us more of the whole story. Maybe Olivia thought she co-wrote. Maybe Olivia thought she owned a percentage of it. I don't know what Olivia thought was coming to her. But in her mind, she felt like Rich owed her more money than what he gave. In Rich's mind, he felt like he gave her what he owed her. It was his record and he was within his rights. Whatever. But at this point, Rich got his eye on Fresher, because he gave Fresher the, okay, you a grimy motherfucker. Like, I know you grimy. And he kind of got his eye on Olivia, like, what you really talking about? Now, we're back. We see Tahiri and Erica talking. Erica was like, look, I know Tahiri. Tahiri is not this person. So when she went off like that at my party, I know it was more to it. So I invited her over, and she was, Tahiri shows up and she was like, look, girl, you wasn't answering my phone call. You wasn't doing nothing. And Tahiri was like, because I ain't feel like talking. And she said, well, what's going on? And she told her about the mammogram and everything. And Erica was like, well, look, girl, what's up? You tell me when and where. I'll be there. I'm going to go with you, Basically, she was like, my dad went through cancer. I've been through this. I know how scary it is. I know what it is. I got you. And Tahiri was like, she really appreciated it because she's really not in a good place with her family. And so she really is sort of alone. And I told you guys in my review last week, I know the feeling. I went through this. And it wasn't played out. It wasn't overly dramatic. It wasn't, be an extra. And the way that thing played out on this episode tonight is really how that shit be playing out. They do the test. They see something they don't like, or they see something abnormal, and they have to go and take it to the next level. The next level is a biopsy. They did her regular mammogram. They saw something they didn't like, so they did the ultrasound, which is a more detailed mammogram, so they could see more detail. They still saw something they didn't like. Then they had to go to the next level, which was a biopsy, which they had to really actually take fluid out, test the fluid, and bring that back. Now, what I don't know is the timeline. I know for me, when they called me back to do the second ultrasound, as soon as they did the ultrasound, they brought the doctor in, just like they did with Tahiri. They brought the doctor in to go over my results. Now, luckily for me, that was it for me. They saw it. They were like, okay, it's just some scar tissue. We're good. We don't, it's nothing more. Boom, boom, boom. But with Tahiri, they saw something they didn't like, so they went to the next step. Again, with modern medicine being what it is, you don't have to wait weeks and weeks anymore for different things. So, but I definitely understand her being upset. I understand the tears. I understand the fear, because, again, when you know that the flip side of this is cancer, doesn't matter how early they detect it. It doesn't matter. It's not necessarily a death sentence. However, we still know enough people that have died from cancer to know it's not easy. It's not an easy road. So I 100% understand the fear. Respect to Erica for being there for her friend, understanding it. And it was just a moment. Like, when you see these reality shows, I only hope that these two do have a, legit friendship, and they build on it, because that was a moment. And I respect, Erica being there for her in that moment, because it's a lot, honey. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing. I think we covered everything. Yeah, I think we did. Because I went out of order. So I think I covered everybody. Carry the one. The two. Yeah, that's what it is. The only other thing I was going to share with y'all, the other thing that was realistic was when Tahiri was getting that daggone exam. Let me tell y'all something. That is the most uncomfortable and painful situation. When, for every woman who's ever had a mammogram, y'all know what I'm talking about. They put you in the weirdest positions, and you got to stand there while the machine mashes your breasts together. Child, it's not fun. It's not comfortable. Okay? So anyway, that was that, y'all. It was what it was. Let me know what you think. Drop it in them comments. Peace.